Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to Blue Ridge Silverhound. I'm your host, Sean, for this video. And today we're going to take a little bit of a trip back 2 years ago to 2020, where, well, the proverbial crap really hit the fan on our U.S. coins. And, well, I don't mind at all. And I don't think a lot of you mind as well. Now, we've had a few people say, well, the U.S. mint quality has been garbage the last number of years, and, they need to really step up their quality. And it really got me to thinking. I'm like, you do understand that the crappy quality equates to just some pretty spectacular U.S. mint errors, right? I mean, whatever you want to say about the overall quality, there is something to say about the overall marketability of some of these coins. In 2020 seemed to be kind of the bell cow of what has been happening here in the last 24 months. 2022 coins, as of this video, are starting to hit circulation, and it's always good to kind of go back to a very approachable, a very, very recent date of U.S. coins where we could still go out and find some premier uncirculated pieces of any of these errors. So what I have for you today is going to be kind of a top tier list. I think I have maybe 10 separate coins on the list that we're going to talk about that maybe you guys probably should take another look at when you're out there searching around. It's going to be important right now because once we're 5 years, removed from 2020, let's say it's 2025, a lot of the coins that you're going to be finding are going to be pretty well circulated. They're going to be worth a fraction of the value of what they are today. And they're going to be incrementally more scarce as the years go by. So that's definitely something to keep in mind as you're kind of anticipating the brand new 2022s to hit your bank. And 2021, I'll end up doing a video on that as well of some of the most relevant error coins to find. I mean, if you're looking to possibly kind of cash in on what's going on in the overall craftsmanship, no pun intended, but the overall craftsmanship of what the U.S. Mint has been putting out here lately, you probably need to pay attention to this video. As a matter of fact, I would probably bookmark it. There's going to be a few coins that you guys probably have never seen come out of these rolls in 2020, but I'm going to be happy to share each and every single one of them with you. All right, so let's go ahead and jump right in. Thank you again for tuning in to this video. Let's see what we have here. Well, we're going to start off on, kind of like the low end of the totem pole as far as what you can find out there. And it really, I think this 2020p Jefferson Nickel is going to be a microcosm of what we're seeing here in the next 2 years from 2020. So when we're talking about overall craftsmanship and just how these things were being produced, quality control obviously was on the back burner, as the nation was kind of fighting through and trying to figure out what the heck this pandemic thing was. So there were a lot of people that weren't working. I'm sure the U.S. Mint, along with any other company and entity out there, was working on a skeleton crew. All right, people are getting sick, and obviously they can't work. So it's just, it is what it is. It happened. It's unfortunate. But when we look at why we see a lot of these error coins and just overall quote unquote bad quality that exists in 2020, it's really just a matter of low head count at the U.S. Mint, at the Federal Reserve Bank, and that's why a coin shortage was kind of thrown out there, even though there was really no shortage of coins. There was a shortage of people processing the coins. The U.S. Mint still made a record amount of coins in 2020 and in 2021. So the Jefferson Nickel you see here, at first glance, doesn't look like anything spectacular. The coin appears to have circulated a little bit. I mean, it's not a true kind of like gem, mid-state quality of coin, but it does have quite a bit of luster. It's probably more in that mid-state 63, maybe 64 on the best of days. But, again, when you look at these coins, you have to take a look at the whole thing. So make sure you have your magnifier handy as you're searching through each of these coins. Now, this one right here has a few of these little die chips. So this is a byproduct of just overall stress and wear and tear of these dies. The little bits and pieces, will crack off. All right, kind of like driving an automobile. You got to make sure you change the oil, and as you rack on the miles, things begin to squeak. There are pieces that begin to break. You get the big idea. But in this particular case, these little die chips have been found on the Jefferson Nickels, and they all range from pretty mild to pretty extreme. And these particular die chips have had the dubious distinction of being called beehive die chips, because they're stuck to the edge or side of the building, rather, of Monticello, and they just really look like a big nasty beehive. But this one, what's really cool about this is it has a second die chip right here, one of these I guess windows or bays of Monticello. So really spectacular coin. Some would say it's too minor to even just be worth a conversation, but I tell you what, if they sell for around $10 shipped, who really cares? A lot of people, by the way, when they are cracking open these Jefferson nickel rolls, have found quite a few of these in one master box. Because obviously the amount of coins being found, all come from maybe one or two dies. And this seems to be a very common stress point area on the die, and that's why it cracks a lot. Just a really nice coin. This particular seller has sold a number of these, so I would think that, and probably assume that this individual had found a number of them in a box of nickels. So again, another great one to find. I mean, they all average between $8 to $10 a piece. Can you imagine possibly finding anywhere from 50 to 100 of them in a bank box? I mean, you could really set yourself up for a pretty nice payday when you take advantage of looking at these. It doesn't matter how minor they are. They do have a market out there to these error collectors. Now, we might as well stay on nickels. Here's another 2020p, and these have kind of circulated pretty well. There's been a number of these, as a matter of fact, aside from this coin, which is not a confirmed sale, but is a coin that is currently available by a seller. Actually, these have different states of strike-throughs. Strike-throughs is when there's an amount of grease, a hardened grease capsule that's sitting on the die, that has various different types of debris mixed in there, maybe some metal shavings, some dirt, dust. You get the big idea. So when that's on the die and it strikes the coins, it's going to leave an omission of detail on whatever device or die that particular hardened capsule of grease was on. In this particular case, this is on the reverse. So you could see, when it strikes through that hardened grease, a lot of the detail is going to be lost in that area. All right. And it's going to show as an incuse event. All right. Which means it goes into the coin and it's not raised. This particular example is graded by NGC as a mid-state 66. Miraculously, it still has 6 full steps, and it does notate reverse struck through right there on the NGC slab label. And actually, this one did sell. My bad. I think it sold for right around $150, which, for this particular coin and how common the strike-through event is on the nickel, this is actually a really good amount of money. Now, keep in mind, when you send these coins out to grading, all right, you have to be kind of prudent in what you decide to send. The overall amount of money that it costs to grade errors is quite high, especially if you use PCGS, where the attribution and the submission total is about $90. So, if you're sending out, maybe a $25 error, it probably won't be worth the kind of money that you would expect after grading. You might even lose money. So you want to make sure you choose your battles on what coins are, I guess, worthy of submission. This one right here, around $150. I mean, could have done a lot worse, but, it's not that bad of a sale. Plus, it's 6 full steps. When I'm sure, with these strike-throughs, that's really not a common occurrence. Now, quite a few of these have been found. The 2020, again, you're noticing a little bit of a pattern here. A lot of these errors are being found on Philadelphia minted coinage. So they have been kind of taking the brunt of a lot of the lack of employee count to help them out at the mint. And here's another case right here. This is a off-center 2020 Lincoln Shield cent. Quite a few of these were found. Actually, this is not a rare coin at all. A lot of folks were pulling these left and right out of full bank boxes. But yeah, this one right here, quite a few of these did exist. More so in 2020 than any other year around it. I mean, this one is a pretty good condition coin, but keep in mind, look at all the little black spots all over the coin. This has been a common occurrence on all of the newer coins, going probably all the way back to the mid 2000s. The U.S. Mint has used this type of cleansing wash that leaves these unsightly spots on here. At first glance, they start out as like a white spot, kind of like a milk spot, but they progress into carbon spots, which is a bad look, you know. But you know, this coin right here is another great example of something that you can find out there in BU rolls. This particular example, graded mid-state 63 red, which would indicate that it has spent a little time in circulation, but not a whole lot. And as you can see, it struck 10% off center. All right, so we got some quarters in the list here, and then we're going to go back to more Lincoln cents toward the end of the video. But hey, how about this particular example of a Salt River Bay quarter? Again, it's a Philadelphia minted 2020 with a pretty sizable curved clip. And these, again, are being found in rolls. As people are going through these rolls in the hopes of finding a West Point minted circulation rarity. You guys remember those? That's another great coin to find, by the way, while you can. They're coming across things like this. Aside from the Salt River Bay that you see here, which is quite attractive, it is also NGC graded. A lot of the coins that you'll see here that are graded are being sold by a seller on eBay. He goes by the name CTF Error Coins. I have a feeling he went through a lot of 2020, and he has quite a few really nice 2020 error coins. I believe this is one of his. But there you go, curved clip right there at K5, even grades out mid-state 66. Again, these will pop up when you least expect it. Depends on the amount of searching you do. Now, this is a much more dramatic, very radical, and ungraded, might I add. This is an American Samoa quarter with a pretty sizable curved clip on there. What I like about this one, aside from the fact that it's ungraded, because, you know, coins like this will sell itself. You don't necessarily have to authenticate every single example you do find. But this one has a really substantial Blakesley effect. See this flattened edge right here, this rim? It's completely flat. I mean, that is a marquee feature of any genuine clipped planchet type of error. You want to make sure that that is on there as well. So what did this one sell for? How about $174.50 through 14 bids? And this one, I think, is a recent sale. A lot of the coins that did sell, because I also have coins on the list that have not sold that are still available on the open market, but the ones that did sell are all from the last like 60 to 90 days. This one right here ended December 12th of 2021. I don't think I talked about this one in the Pocket Change Market Report, but hey, let's talk about it right now. There you go, another great coin to look out for. All right, so we're getting into some ultra spicy type of errors. Now, a lot of you are already familiar with these, but hey, let's go ahead and recap some of these. We have the American Samoa 2020. Again, another Philly minted coin. Yeah, the bat's face looks like it's being eaten by a flesh-eating bacteria. It looks kind of gnarly. But this is not the most dramatic looking example that you could find out there. However, do not overlook these coins. There are certain strike-throughs with various sized strike-through events. There's also some feeder finger scrapes. This one represents that really well here to the right side of the bat's head. You can see some of that. present on there as well. Again, this is a very nice original example. It has circulated. You can see some of the slashes and nicks in certain areas. The obverse of the coin, has weathered a little bit of circulation wear as well. And this is a coin that in most particular stages like this one, where the little strike through is quite a bit smaller than some of the bigger, more advanced examples, are still worth money. This particular type right here, if you're able to find it, is worth anywhere from $75 to $100. I think this particular example right here is either available for $99.99 or somewhere around there, or it might have sold. Just a good looking coin. But if you want the crown jewel of the American Samoa strike throughs, this is the one you're going to be looking for. Now check out the size and the overall depth of that strike through on that bat on the reverse. You can see this thing a mile away, and that's what I like most about it. Is it's just an overall, just the size really gives it a more dramatic, appealing look. This is a coin, by the way, that I reported back a few months ago that graded, I believe, PCGS Mid-State 64, and that example sold for $1,250. Just a tremendous, tremendous sale. Again, it's graded. This is probably one of those coins that I would not hesitate to send to either NGC or PCGS. And I don't say that often. There's not too many coins that kind of fit within that mold of coins that I would certainly send to a grader, because it is pricey. Speaking of more quarters, American Samoa really got the shaft from the quality control folks in 2020. Here's a trio of broad struck examples. They all circulated, as you can see, plain as day, actually. It's actually quite remarkable how many of these have been released out into circulation, but this seller had 3 of them. They also have a little bit of a partial tilted collar as well, so they do have the railroaded edge effect. You can see that very, very cleanly on a few of these obverse images here. It's just pretty crazy to think that these are still being found out there, and the fact that this particular seller has 3 of them means there's got to be more out there. This one right here sold December 12th, 2021. Same seller as one of the previous coins for $92.01. That's with 15 bits. Comes out to about $30 per coin, but hey, that is a pretty gosh darn good sale. And free easy tendies out there. This is like easy money when you find these. All right, we're going to end it off on a couple of very, very notable link and cent errors. This one right here was the talk of the town in 2020. If you thought the 2021 retained CUD die break example was the big error of the last like 2 to 3 years, this one at the time was the marksman of the group before that other 2021 example was ultimately discovered. But check out that rim-to-rim die crack that is on the reverse there. You have also quite a bit of displacement. See the little serifs of the D that's shifted from the actual body of the D, which means that die jostled just enough to shift all of the details around a little bit. What's even more cool, you get into, there's the bottom part of the P right here that's completely separate of where the main body of the P and E pluribus unum is. You also have this pretty sizable interior die break, die chip right here over the E in 1 cent, and then it goes all the way through to the other side of the coin. Just an overall, just spectacular example right here. And again, another coin that is worth hundreds of dollars when you do find it, and that is a big one there. This particular example, I mean, get a load of this. There hadn't been too many sales of this particular example in quite some time, but we have this one that sold for $5 1/4 back in November 5th. All right, that seems like a kind of like a Stone Ages ago, but this one right here, $5 1/4 through 30 bids, was organically bid up to that amount. the location in which it was sold, which was in Baltimore, which might be a hotspot for these if you're still able to get and obtain some 2020 bankrolls of this particular coin. And then finally, we have a really neat one here. Actually, no, this is another split die coin. This one instead is graded. Sorry about that. This one is actually available on the market for $275. Yeah, it's just... this one won't last very long, I would presume, only because it's just a awesome error. So yeah, that's that rim-to-rim die crack with the reverse split die is what NGC called it on this one. But seriously, this is like kind of the most relevant coin on the list. And not so much relevant, but the most expensive, most valuable. This is a 2020 Lincoln Shield cent, and it's a die adjustment strike. A number of these have been found in the community going through bankrolls. And the difference between this and one coin that maybe is struck through a lot of grease is really, coming down to the overall details. First of all, you have a lot of weakness on both sides of the coin. That's one of kind of like those place markers that you want to know is there. And second of all, and this is quite important, you're going to see that a lot of the rim is not been struck on this coin. So that's a pressure issue. You could still see the edge of what we call the Type 2 or coins with that upset rim. Before the struck even occurred. This is just a really awesome example. CTF Error Coins has a few of these available, both graded, of course. This one, however, doesn't have a numerical grade, which I find kind of interesting. But there you go, die adjustment strike, NGC graded. NGC seems to be the more value grader to use for error coins, and that's why CTF used them. It really doesn't downplay any value or anything. It's still just as important to see this graded in any one of the top two holders. This particular picture right here illustrates exactly the amount of money that these sealed boxes have been selling for. And these are all rather recent. Starting from the top, there's a 2020p Lincoln Shield box. So there's 50 penny rolls. That sold January 22nd for probably $50 shipped. There's a slash line right on there, and you notice it's in green as well, which signals a confirmed sale. And then here's a Jefferson Nickel box, 50 rolls that sold for $175 shipped, which is not too bad considering that it's $100 face value. And then finally, the last one at the bottom, which kind of intrigues me a little bit. But this is the only really legit quarter roll box that's available. P-minted, might I add. Salt River Bay quarters. This is a full bank box. All Philadelphia coins, $1,000 or best offer. That thing cannot last that long. I have a feeling that that particular box of quarters will be scooped up here in the near future. I have no doubt about it. That $1,000 is solid for this particular box, and it'll be a big win for both the seller and the buyer at the end of the day. But there you go. If you guys want to go out into the open market and pick up some of these boxes, keep in mind there are quite a few Denver boxes. There's really not a whole lot of fanfare with Denver coins as far as errors. But the Philadelphia coin boxes, and I didn't talk about dimes, but there are some pretty nice die clashes that you can encounter in dime rolls, although they're not the most spectacular denomination to go through for 2020, but those are out there as well. But that's going to go ahead and do it, guys. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this little drive down memory lane of 2020 significant error coins to look for. Look for them now before we get too deep into 2022, 2023 coins. That's just going to make these coins a lot more difficult to find out there. But I appreciate your guys' time. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to my channel if you enjoyed today's content. I'm your host, Sean, with Blue Ridge Silverhound. What do I always say? Coinaholics, we are discovering together. You guys take care, and best of luck in your hunts. I'll see you on the next coin video. So long.